The red and blue lights filled my mirror again. Same time, same spot, same cop, 3 nights running now. I pulled over to the side of Highway 19, just like the past 2 nights. My hands shook as I turned off the engine. The patrol car sat behind me, its headlights cutting through the darkness like angry eyes. This wasn't normal. Cops don't pull over the same person 3 nights in a row for no reason, especially not at exactly 11:47 p.m. each time. The footsteps crunched on gravel as he walked toward my window. Slow, steady steps that seemed too heavy for a normal person. I rolled down the window and waited. "License and registration," he said in that same flat voice. No emotion, no change in tone from the previous nights. Like he was reading from a script he'd memorized long ago, I handed him my documents again. The same ones he'd looked at Tuesday night and Wednesday night. He took them with those pale, cold fingers and walked back to his car. This whole thing started 3 days ago. I worked the night shift at the packaging plant outside town. Same route home every night for 2 years. Nothing weird ever happened until this week. Tuesday night was the first time. I was driving home from work, tired and ready for bed. The lights appeared in my mirror out of nowhere. No siren, just the flashing red and blue. He'd asked for my license and registration that first night. Looked at them for a long time under his flashlight. Too long. Way too long for a simple traffic stop. The beam of his flashlight had stayed perfectly steady while he read. Normal people's hands shake a little, especially when holding a heavy flashlight. His hand never moved even slightly. "Everything looks good," he'd said finally. "Drive safe." Then he'd walked back to his patrol car and sat there. Just sat there until I drove away. Wednesday night, same thing, same spot on Highway 19, same time, same cop. This time I got a better look at him. Tall, maybe 6.5 feet. Uniform that looked too clean, too pressed, like it had never been worn before. His badge was too shiny, like it was made of chrome instead of metal, and his name tag was blank. Completely blank, just a silver rectangle with no letters or numbers. His face was the strangest part. Smooth, almost like plastic. No wrinkles, no scars, no marks at all, and his eyes didn't reflect light the way they should. Now here I was again on Thursday night, same routine, same questions, same everything. But tonight felt different. Tonight, something was wrong. The air itself felt thick and strange. Like before a thunderstorm, but there were no clouds in the sky. Just clear darkness and too many stars. I watched him in my side mirror as he sat in his patrol car. He wasn't moving. Not at all. Normal cops fidget, check their radio, write things down. This one just sat there like a statue. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I started to wonder if he'd fallen asleep back there. But the way he sat, perfectly straight, didn't look like sleep. His silhouette in the patrol car was too still. People breathe, shift positions, move their heads. This shape behind the windshield could have been made of stone. Finally, he got out and walked back to my window. His steps sounded different tonight, heavier, like his boots were filled with concrete. "Mr. Davis," he said, reading my name from my license, "you drive this route every night." It wasn't a question, it was a statement. And the way he said it made my stomach twist. "Yes, sir," I managed to say, coming home from work. He nodded once, a single sharp movement of his head. Same time, same speed, same everything. I didn't know what to say to that. Was I in trouble for being predictable? For having a routine? His eyes were fixed on my face, but they didn't seem to be looking at me, more like looking through me. like he was reading something written behind my forehead. "Is there a problem, officer?" I asked. He stared at me for a long moment. Those strange eyes seemed to look right through me, like he was studying something inside my head. "No problem," he said. But the way he said it made it sound like there was definitely a problem. When he spoke, his lips moved correctly, but something about the timing was off, like watching a movie where the sound doesn't match the picture. He handed back my license and registration. His fingers brushed mine, and they were ice cold. Not just cold from the night air, cold like they'd been frozen solid. The cold went deeper than normal cold. It felt like touching metal that had been left in a freezer for days. My fingers actually went numb where his skin touched mine. "Drive safe, Mr. Davis." I rolled up my window and started the car. In my mirror, I watched him walk back to his patrol car, but he didn't get in right away. He stood next to the driver's door and watched me pull away. His head turned to follow my car as I drove past, a full 180-degree turn, like an owl watching prey. Normal necks don't bend that far. I drove straight home, checking my mirror every few seconds. The patrol car followed me for about a mile, then disappeared. No turnoff, no side road. 1 second it was there, the next it wasn't. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those cold fingers and that plastic smooth face, about the way he knew my name before looking at my license, about how his patrol car had just vanished. I got up 3 times to check the locks on my doors. Each time I looked out the windows to make sure no police cars were parked outside. The street was empty, but I still felt like I was being watched. Every shadow looked wrong. Every tree branch seemed to be reaching toward my house. Even the streetlights seemed dimmer than usual, like something was draining the power from them. Friday morning, I called the county sheriff's office, asked about patrol schedules on Highway 19. The dispatcher was helpful enough. "We don't have regular patrols on that stretch at night," she said. "Budget cuts. Most of our night officers work the town areas." I described the officer who'd pulled me over. Tall, clean uniform, patrol car with standard markings. She put me on hold for several minutes. While I waited, I could hear voices in the background. Other dispatchers talking, phones ringing, normal office sounds. It made me feel better to hear normal life happening. "Sir," she said when she came back, "we don't have any officer matching that description. And our patrol cars all have dash cameras now. If you were pulled over 3 times, there would be reports." No reports. No officer matching the description. No regular night patrols on Highway 19. I hung up the phone and sat in my kitchen, staring at the wall. Either the dispatcher was wrong, or something very strange was happening to me. Maybe I was losing my mind. Maybe the stress of working nights for 2 years was finally getting to me. Maybe I was seeing things that weren't really there. But those cold fingers had felt real. The ice-cold touch that left my skin numb. Hallucinations couldn't do that, could they? That evening, I almost called in sick to work. Almost stayed home and avoided Highway 19 completely. But I needed the money, and missing work would only make things worse. My supervisor, Rick, was understanding about most things, but he'd been clear that attendance was important. Too many call-ins, and I'd be looking for a new job. I left the plant at 11:30, same as always. But tonight, I took a different route. Instead of Highway 19, I went through town on Main Street. Added 20 minutes to my drive, but I didn't care. The town route took me past the old church, the elementary school, and the 24-hour diner. Normal places with normal people. A few cars on the road, porch lights on in houses, everything ordinary. No police lights, no strange cop. I made it home without incident and felt foolish for being so scared. Maybe it was just coincidence. Maybe the sheriff's office had mixed up their information. Maybe I was letting my imagination run wild. Saturday night, I took the town route again. No problems. The diner was busy with the usual late-night crowd. A few teenagers hung out in the school parking lot. Everything normal and safe. Sunday night, same thing. By Monday, I was feeling better about the whole situation. The weekend had given me time to think clearly. Stress could cause all kinds of problems. Maybe I'd been working too hard, not getting enough sleep. Maybe my mind was playing tricks on me. Tuesday night, exactly 1 week after the first incident, I decided to take Highway 19 again. It was faster, and I was tired of the long way around town. Big mistake. The lights appeared at 11:47 p.m., just like before. Same spot, same cop, same routine. But this time he was different. His uniform looked older somehow, faded around the edges, and his patrol car had mud on it like he'd been driving through fields. The mud was strange, thick and dark, almost black, and it was only on the lower half of the car, like he'd driven through something deeper than normal dirt. License and registration, he said, but his voice sounded off, like it was coming from far away, even though he was right next to my window. I handed him my documents with shaking hands. He took them and walked back to his car, but this time I watched more carefully. His walk wasn't right. Normal people rock slightly from side to side when they walk. This cop moved in a perfectly straight line, like he was on rails. Each step was exactly the same length, same speed, same rhythm, like a machine programmed to walk. No variation, no human randomness at all. I adjusted my side mirror to get a better view of him. He was sitting in his patrol car, but the interior light wasn't on. Usually cops turn on the light to read your information. He was just sitting in complete darkness. 10 minutes passed. 15. I started to wonder if I should just drive away, but something told me that would be a very bad idea. The silence was complete. No radio chatter from his car, no engine noise, no normal sounds. Even the night insects had gone quiet, like they were hiding from something. Finally, he got out and came back to my window. This time, his face looked different. The plastic smooth skin was still there, but there were small cracks around his eyes, like old paint starting to chip. "Mr. Davis," he said, "you've been avoiding this route." My mouth went dry. How could he possibly know that? I've been taking different ways home," I stammered. He nodded. "Main Street, then Oak Avenue, then Pine Street to your house on Maple Drive." I felt sick. He knew my exact route through town. He knew where I lived. Not just my address, but the specific streets I'd taken. The exact path through town that I'd chosen to avoid him. How was that possible? "How do you know that?" I asked. He tilted his head slightly, like a confused dog. "I know many things, Mr. Davis. I know you work at Precision Packaging. I know you start at 3 p.m. and end at 11 p.m. I know you live alone." This was beyond creepy now. This was dangerous. I thought about hitting the gas and driving away as fast as possible. But his eyes were locked on mine, and I couldn't look away. They held me like a snake holding a mouse. Yellow light seemed to swirl in the depths of his pupils. "I know you called the sheriff's office," he continued. "I know you spoke to Dispatcher Johnson on Friday morning at 9:23 a.m. He knew about my phone call. He knew the exact time and who I'd talked to. "Am I under arrest?" I asked. "No," he said, "you are not under arrest." "Then I'm free to go?" He was quiet for a long moment. Those strange eyes stared at me without blinking. I realized I hadn't seen him blink once in all our encounters. "You are free to go," he said finally. "For now." For now. What did that mean? He handed back my license and registration. This time, his fingers were even colder than before, like touching ice cubes. The cold shot up my arm like electricity. My whole hand went numb, and the numbness spread to my wrist and forearm. It took several minutes after he let go for the feeling to come back. I rolled up my window and started to drive away. In my mirror, I saw him standing in the road, watching me go. He didn't move until I was completely out of sight. When I got home, I locked every door and window in the house. Then I called the sheriff's office again. Different dispatcher this time. I explained the situation, gave the license plate number I'd memorized from the patrol car. The plate number was easy to remember because it wasn't random letters and numbers. It was perfectly organized. Sakio AA111. Too perfect, like someone had chosen it instead of getting it assigned. "Sir," the dispatcher said after checking, "that plate number isn't in our system. Are you sure you read it correctly?" I was sure. I'd stared at those numbers enough times to memorize them. "And you said this happened on Highway 19? She asked. "Yes, ma'am. We haven't had any patrol activity on Highway 19 in over 2 weeks. I'm looking at all our shift reports." I felt dizzy. If the sheriff's office wasn't sending officers to Highway 19, then who was pulling me over? "Would you like to file a report?" the dispatcher asked. "A report about what? Someone impersonating a police officer? That's a serious crime, sir. If someone is pretending to be law enforcement, we need to know about it." I made an appointment to come in the next day and file a formal complaint. But as I hung up the phone, I wondered what good it would do. How do you file a complaint against someone who might not even be human? Wednesday evening, I called in sick to work. I wasn't going anywhere near Highway 19, and I wasn't taking any chances on the town route either. I told my supervisor, Rick, that I had food poisoning. He wasn't happy about the short notice, but he said he'd find someone to cover my shift. I spent the night at home, checking the locks every hour. Every car that drove past my house made me nervous. Every shadow in the yard looked suspicious. The house felt different at night now. Smaller somehow, like the walls were closing in. Every creak and settling sound made me jump. Even the refrigerator humming seemed too loud. Around midnight, I heard something outside, a car engine, idling in front of my house. I peeked through the living room curtains and saw red and blue lights flashing. He'd found me. Somehow the fake cop had tracked me to my house. The patrol car sat in the street, engine running, lights flashing silently. No siren, no radio chatter. Just those hypnotic red and blue lights painting my walls. I watched from the window as he got out of his patrol car. Same tall shape, same clean uniform. But something was definitely wrong with the way he moved. He walked up to my front door with those strange, rail-straight steps. No sway, no natural movement. Like a robot trying to imitate a human walk. Each step landed with a heavy thud, heavier than his size should have made. The ground seemed to shake slightly with each footfall. The doorbell rang. 3 short chimes that echoed through my empty house. I didn't answer. I stood frozen in my living room, barely breathing. The doorbell rang again, then it stopped. I waited for the sound of footsteps walking away, but they never came. After 10 minutes, I crept back to the window and looked out. He was still standing on my front porch, perfectly still, facing the door, waiting. His posture was completely straight, like he was at military attention. No fidgeting, no shifting weight, no human movement at all. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? There's someone impersonating a police officer at my house, I whispered. He's been harassing me for weeks. Is he threatening you? He's just standing there, on my porch. He won't leave. We'll send a unit right away. Stay inside and keep your doors locked. I gave them my address and waited. Real cops were coming. Finally, someone would see this fake officer and arrest him. 20 minutes later, I heard sirens. 2 patrol cars pulled up in front of my house, their lights flashing. Real cops got out and walked toward my porch, but the fake cop was gone. The porch was empty. I opened the door and talked to the real officers. They were professional and thorough, taking notes and asking questions, but they couldn't arrest someone who wasn't there. Officer Williams was older, maybe 50, with graying hair and kind eyes. His partner, Officer Lopez, was younger but equally professional. They both listened to my story without judgment. We'll patrol the area extra tonight, Officer Williams said, and we'll file a report about the impersonation. If you see him again, call us immediately. How did he just disappear? I asked. Officer Lopez shrugged. Could have gone around back through yards. People can move pretty fast when they want to avoid police. After they left, I felt a little better. At least now there was an official record of what was happening. But I couldn't shake the feeling that the fake cop hadn't run away. He'd just stopped being there, like he'd never been there at all. Thursday night, I stayed home again. No work, no driving, no leaving the house. I ordered pizza and settled in to wait out whatever this was. The pizza delivery driver was a kid from the local high school. Normal, friendly, human. He made small talk about the weather and thanked me for the tip. Simple, ordinary interaction. At 11:47 p.m. exactly, my doorbell rang. I looked out the window. The fake cop was back, standing on my porch like he'd never left. Same position, same perfect stillness. This time I noticed details I'd missed before. His uniform was completely wrinkle-free, like it was made of plastic instead of fabric. And his shoes were perfectly clean, despite walking across my lawn. I called 911 again. This time, I stayed on the line until the real cops arrived. But just like the night before, the fake cop vanished before they got there. "Sir," Officer Williams said when he arrived, "are you sure you're not imagining this? Stress can cause hallucinations." I wanted to scream. I wasn't imagining anything, but I couldn't prove it. "Maybe you should talk to someone," Officer Lopez suggested gently. "There are counselors who specialize in trauma and stress." They were trying to be helpful, but they thought I was crazy, and maybe I was. Maybe none of this was really happening. Friday night, I set up my phone to record video. If the fake cop came back, I'd have evidence. I positioned the phone on my kitchen counter, aimed at the front window with a clear view of the porch. The video quality was good, the lighting adequate. Sure enough, at 11:47 p.m., the doorbell rang. I started recording and looked out the window. He was there. Same tall shape, same clean uniform. But this time something was very wrong with his face. The plastic smooth skin was cracking more now. Pieces were actually falling off, revealing something dark underneath. And his eyes. His eyes were glowing with a faint yellow light. cracks in his face formed a web-like pattern, like broken glass. Through the gaps, I could see what looked like empty space. Not flesh, not bone, just darkness. I recorded for 5 minutes, getting clear shots of him standing on my porch. When I played back the video, my hands were shaking with excitement. Finally, I had proof. No one could say I was imagining things now. But when I watched the video, my excitement turned to horror. The porch was empty. The video showed nothing but an empty porch with no one standing on it. I watched it 3 times. The video was clear. The lighting was good. But there was no cop, no uniform, no glowing eyes, nothing. The timestamp showed I'd recorded for 5 minutes, but the porch remained empty the entire time, even when I knew I was looking directly at him. How was that possible? I'd seen him clearly with my own eyes. Saturday morning, I drove to the sheriff's office to file my report. I brought the video, even though it didn't show anything useful. Deputy Martinez listened to my story and took notes. She was patient and professional, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. Her office was small but comfortable, with certificates on the walls and family photos on her desk. Normal things in a normal place with a normal person. "Mr. Davis," she said gently, "when was the last time you saw a doctor?" "I'm not crazy," I said. "Something is stalking me." "I'm not saying you're crazy, but stress, lack of sleep, trauma, these things can affect what we see and hear." She showed me pamphlets for mental health services and sleep disorder clinics, all very professional and helpful, but they assumed the problem was in my head. She gave me a card for a mental health clinic and promised to increase patrols in my area. But I could tell she didn't believe me. That night, I didn't go home after leaving the sheriff's office. I checked into a motel on the other side of town and paid cash. No one knew where I was. The Sleepy Inn was old but clean, with thin walls and scratchy blankets. But it was 20 miles from my house and my usual routes. Maybe distance would help. I felt safe for the first time in weeks. Maybe a change of location would break whatever was happening to me. At 11:47 p.m., someone knocked on my motel room door. Not the fake cop. This was different. Softer knocks. More like a normal person. "Who is it?" I called out. "Police, sir. We need to speak with you." I looked through the peephole. A woman in a sheriff's uniform stood outside. She looked normal. Professional. Nothing strange about her. She was shorter than the fake cop, with brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her uniform fit properly and looked worn from regular use. I opened the door with the chain still attached. "Deputy Rodriguez," she said, showing her badge. "We've been looking for you. Your family is worried." "I don't have any family," I said. She smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. "Of course you do, Mr. Davis. Everyone has family." That's when I noticed her skin. It had the same plastic smooth quality as the fake cop, and her eyes didn't reflect light properly. Her badge looked too new, too shiny. And her name tag, like the fake cop's, was completely blank. Just a silver rectangle with no writing. I slammed the door and fastened all the locks. Outside, I heard her talking to someone else. "He's in there," she said. "Room 237. "Good," came a familiar voice, the fake cop. "We've been patient long enough." More voices joined them. A whole group of people, all talking in those same flat, emotionless tones. I counted at least 6 different voices, maybe more. All with that same mechanical quality, like they were reading from scripts. I called 911 from my cell phone. 911, what's your emergency? They found me, I whispered. The fake cops. They're outside my motel room. Sir, I'm showing several units at your location already. They're there to help you. No, they're not real cops. They're something else. Sir, I need you to open the door and cooperate with our officers. Even the 911 dispatcher was part of it now. Whatever was happening, it was bigger than just one fake cop. The dispatcher's voice had that same flat quality as the others. No emotion, no concern, just mechanical words. I hung up and looked around the motel room. One window faced the parking lot. I could see at least 6 people in police uniforms standing outside. All tall, all with that plastic smooth skin. They stood in a perfect line, equally spaced like soldiers at attention. No movement, no conversation, just waiting. The knocking started again. Harder now, more insistent. "Mr. Davis," came the fake cop's voice. "We need to talk." The door shook with each knock. These weren't normal human knuckles hitting wood. The sound was too loud, too heavy. I pushed a chair against the door and grabbed my car keys. The window was my only option. I managed to get it open just as the door splintered behind me. The chair scraped across the floor as they pushed their way in. The sound of the door breaking was wrong. Too clean, too precise. Like it had been cut with a saw instead of broken with force. I squeezed through the window and dropped into the parking lot. My car was 20 feet away. If I could reach it... "There he is!" someone shouted. I ran like I'd never run before. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Too many footsteps. They were all chasing me. But the footsteps were perfectly synchronized like a marching band, all landing at exactly the same time, same rhythm, same pace. I reached my car and fumbled with the keys. The engine started just as the fake cop reached my door. He grabbed the handle, but I was already moving. His grip on the door handle was incredibly strong. For a moment, I thought he might rip the door off completely. But the car's momentum broke his hold. I floored the gas pedal and tore out of the motel parking lot. In my mirror, I saw all of them standing in the lot, watching me go. None of them ran to their cars to follow. They just stood there. They formed a perfect circle in the parking lot, all facing outward, all perfectly still, like statues arranged by a careful artist. I drove for hours, taking random turns and changing direction. When the sun came up, I was 3 counties away in a town I'd never seen before. The town was called Millerville, population 2,847 according to the welcome sign. Small, quiet, with one main street and a few churches. I found another motel and paid cash again. This time I registered under a false name. If they were tracking me somehow, maybe this would help. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't matter. They'd found me at the last motel. They'd find me here too. The desk clerk was an elderly man with thick glasses and a friendly smile. He chatted about the weather and recommended a good place for breakfast. Sunday night, I barely slept. Every sound outside made me jump. Every car in the parking lot looked suspicious. I kept the curtains closed and the lights off. If they were looking for me, maybe staying invisible would help. At 11:47 p.m., my room phone rang. I stared at it for 10 rings before finally answering. "Hello, Mr. Davis," came the fake cop's voice. "You can't run forever." "What do you want from me?" I asked. "We want to talk, face to face. No more games." "You're not human, are you?" There was a long pause. "Does it matter what we are?" "Yes," I said. "It matters to me. We are what we need to be. Right now, we need to be police officers." Why are you doing this to me? You saw us, he said, 3 weeks ago on Highway 19. You saw us when we thought no one was watching. I tried to remember what he was talking about. 3 weeks ago would have been before the first time he pulled me over. My memory was fuzzy from stress and lack of sleep, but slowly it came back to me. Then it hit me. 3 weeks ago, driving home from work, I'd seen something strange on Highway 19. 2 patrol cars parked in a field beside the road. Officers standing around what looked like... The cattle, I said. Yes, the cattle. I'd seen them examining dead cows in the field. At the time, I'd assumed it was some kind of investigation. Disease outbreak, maybe. I'd slowed down to look, then kept driving. But now I remembered more details. The cows hadn't just been dead. They'd been arranged in a perfect circle, all facing inward. And the officers hadn't been taking notes or photographs. They'd been touching the cows with their bare hands, running their fingers along the bodies like they were reading Braille. You were doing something to those cows. We were studying them, learning. Learning what? How to be human, how to look human, how to act human. My stomach turned. You're not from here. No, Mr. Davis. We are not from here. The phone went dead. I sat in the darkness of my motel room trying to process what I'd just heard. Not human, from somewhere else. Using dead cattle to learn about humans. But how? What could they learn from dead cows that would help them impersonate people? Monday morning, I drove to the local library and used their computer. I searched for news reports about cattle deaths on Highway 19. The Millerville Library was small but well organized. The librarian, Mrs. Henderson, was helpful and didn't ask too many questions about why I needed internet access. I found 3 articles from local newspapers, all from 3 weeks ago, all reporting the same thing: mysterious cattle deaths near Highway 19. The farmers had found their cows dead in the morning, arranged in strange patterns. No signs of disease, no obvious cause of death. Local authorities had investigated but found nothing conclusive. One article mentioned that tissue samples had been taken for analysis, but the results were never published. But what caught my attention was a detail buried in the 3rd article. A witness had seen law enforcement personnel at the scene before the farmers discovered the bodies. The witness, a local trucker, said he'd seen police cars in the field around 3 a.m. But when the sheriff's office was contacted, they had no record of any officers being in that area. Sound familiar? I printed the articles and drove back to my motel. At least now I had some idea of what was happening, even if I didn't understand it. That afternoon, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Davis," came the fake cop's voice. "We know where you are." "How?" I asked. "We've been watching you, learning from you. You're very predictable. What do you want?" "Meet us tonight. Highway 19, mile marker 47. Come alone." "Why would I do that?" "Because if you don't, we'll visit your neighbors, your co-workers, everyone you've ever known." The line went dead. I sat on the motel bed staring at my phone. He was threatening innocent people now, people who had nothing to do with this. Mile marker 47 on Highway 19 was where he'd first pulled me over, where this whole nightmare had started. But I couldn't let him hurt other people because of me. My neighbors on Maple Drive were good people. Retirees, young families, working folks just trying to live their lives. Monday night, I drove back toward Highway 19. Part of me hoped I'd get pulled over by a real cop who could help, but the roads were empty. I reached mile marker 47 at exactly 11:30. No police cars, no flashing lights, no sign of the fake cop. I parked on the shoulder and waited. At 11:47, they appeared. Not just one patrol car, but dozens. They came from all directions, surrounding me in a perfect circle. All the cars looked identical. Same model, same year, same equipment, like they'd been manufactured instead of purchased. The fake cop got out of the lead car and walked toward me. Behind him, dozens of other fake officers emerged from their vehicles. They all looked the same. Same height, same build, same plastic smooth faces, like copies made from the same mold. "Thank you for coming, Mr. Davis," the fake cop said. "What are you?" I asked. "We are students, observers. We came here to learn about your species." "Why the police uniforms?" "Authority is useful. People obey police officers. They answer questions. They don't run away." "What happened to the cattle?" He tilted his head. "We needed to understand mammalian biology, internal structures, nervous systems, how consciousness works." I felt sick. "You dissected them." "We studied them, but cows are not human. We needed better subjects. That's why you're hunting me." "We're not hunting you, Mr. Davis. We're recruiting you." "For what?" "To teach us, to help us become better at being human." One of the other fake officers stepped forward. As he moved, his face shifted slightly. The features rearranged themselves, becoming more like mine. "We can look like anyone," the fake cop said. "But looking human and being human are different things. We need to understand behavior, emotions, social patterns." "I won't help you. You already have. Every time we interacted with you, we learned something new. How humans respond to authority. How fear affects decision-making. How to manipulate through intimidation." Another fake officer stepped forward. This one looked exactly like Deputy Martinez from the sheriff's office. Same face, same hair, same uniform. "We've been studying many humans," she had said in Martinez's voice. "Police officers, dispatchers, government officials. Soon we'll know enough to replace them entirely." I realized the horrible truth. They weren't just impersonating random police officers. They were replacing specific people. Real people who probably weren't alive anymore. "You killed them," I said. "We studied them," the fake cop corrected. "Just like the cattle. We needed to understand human biology before we could mimic it effectively." "How many?" "Enough. Soon we'll have learned everything we need to know." More fake officers stepped forward. I recognized some of the faces from the sheriff's office, the courthouse, even the mayor's office. They'd been replacing key people in positions of authority, people who could control information, influence decisions, access resources. "What's your end game?" I asked. "Integration," the fake cop said. "Your species is useful, but flawed, emotional, unpredictable, violent. We can do better." "You're planning to replace everyone?" "Not everyone. Some humans will be kept for breeding purposes, to maintain genetic diversity. Others will serve as test subjects for ongoing research." The casual way he talked about enslaving humanity made my blood freeze. "But first," he continued, "we need to perfect our mimicry. That's where you come in." "I told you I won't help. You misunderstand. We're not asking for your cooperation. We're taking it." Two fake officers stepped forward and grabbed my arms. Their grip was impossibly strong, like being held by steel clamps. They dragged me toward one of the patrol cars. I struggled, but it was useless. They were far stronger than any human. "Where are you taking me?" "To our facility. There are others there. Humans who are helping us learn. Some voluntarily, others not." The car door opened and they pushed me inside. The interior looked normal, but the seats were freezing cold, like the whole car had been refrigerated. As we drove away, I looked back at the circle of patrol cars. They were all following us, a convoy of fake police vehicles carrying fake officers to some unknown destination. The landscape outside was unfamiliar. We'd left Highway 19 and were driving through farmland I didn't recognize. No houses, no lights, just empty fields under a starless sky. After an hour of driving, we reached a gate. It looked like a military checkpoint with guard towers and spotlights. But the guards were all fake officers. Beyond the gate was a complex of buildings. They looked like laboratory facilities, with clean white walls and too many lights. They pulled me out of the car and marched me toward the largest building. Inside, the hallways were stark and sterile, like a hospital. But the sounds coming from behind the closed doors weren't medical. They were screams. "The learning process can be uncomfortable," the fake cop explained, "but necessary." They brought me to a room with a metal table and restraints. Medical equipment lined the walls, but it was mixed with technology I didn't recognize. "We'll start with basic anatomy," the fake cop said. "Then move on to neurological mapping. By the time we're finished, we'll understand exactly how human consciousness works. You're going to kill me. Eventually. But first, you're going to teach us everything about being human." They strapped me to the table and began preparing their instruments. Some looked like surgical tools, others like electronic devices from science fiction. "The cattle taught us about basic biology," the fake cop continued. "But humans are more complex. Your brains, your emotions, your social behaviors, all very fascinating." One of the devices started humming. A needle-like probe extended from it, glowing with strange light. "This will help us map your neural pathways. Don't worry, you'll remain conscious throughout. We need to study how your mind works while it's active." The probe moved toward my head. I struggled against the restraints, but they held tight. Then the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Alarms started blaring throughout the facility. "What's happening?" the fake cop demanded. One of the other fake officers ran into the room. "We're under attack. Unknown aircraft. Multiple contacts." Through the window, I could see lights in the sky, not airplane lights or helicopter lights. These moved too fast and changed direction too sharply. The fake cop looked genuinely confused for the first time since I'd met him. "That's impossible. We weren't followed." More fake officers ran past the doorway. Their perfect coordination was breaking down. They were shouting orders, running in different directions, acting almost human. The building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Whatever was attacking the facility was serious. "Should we evacuate?" one fake officer asked. "No," the fake cop said. "Continue the procedure. We need the information." But as he reached for the neural probe, the ceiling exploded. Something came through the hole. Not human. Not like the fake officers either. This was clearly alien, with silver skin and too many joints. It spoke in a language I didn't understand, but the fake officers responded immediately. They abandoned their equipment and ran. The alien thing looked at me, then began unlocking my restraints with surprisingly gentle hands. "Thank you," I said. It made a sound that might have been acknowledgement, then gestured for me to follow. We ran through the facility's corridors. The place was in chaos. Fake officers were fleeing in all directions, abandoning their human disguises as they ran. Without the disguises, I could see what they really looked like. Tall, pale, with too many fingers and eyes that glowed in the dark. The alien who'd rescued me led me to an exit. Outside, the sky was full of ships, not the patrol cars the fake officers had been using, but genuine spacecraft. More aliens were rounding up the fake officers. Some fought back, but they were clearly outnumbered and outgunned. My rescuer pointed to a small ship near the building. I understood. It was offering me a ride. But where would it take me? These aliens might be just as dangerous as the fake officers. As if reading my thoughts, the alien touched a device on its wrist. A holographic display appeared, showing Earth from space. Then it showed images of the facility we just escaped. Multiple facilities all over the planet, all full of humans being studied by the fake officers. The aliens weren't invaders, they were liberators. I followed my rescuer to the ship. As we lifted off, I looked down at the facility. It was burning now, fake officers scattering into the darkness like insects. The ship's interior was surprisingly comfortable. My alien rescuer activated another device, and suddenly I could understand its language. "We apologize for taking so long," it said. "We've been tracking the collectors for months, but they're very good at hiding." "Collectors?" "The ones you call fake officers. They collect biological data from developing species. Normally, we stop them before they advance this far. There are others like them. Many. They move from world to world, studying, learning, eventually replacing entire populations. What happens now? We'll round up the remaining collectors and their equipment. The humans they captured will be returned to their homes. Most won't remember what happened. What about me? That's your choice. We can erase your memories of all this, let you return to your normal life. Or what? You could come with us, help us find other collector operations. Your experience would be valuable." I thought about going back to my job at the packaging plant, driving the same route every night, pretending none of this had happened. But I also thought about all the people who might be going through what I'd experienced, people being hunted by fake police officers, fake government officials, fake humans. "I'll help," I said. The alien made that acknowledgement sound again. "Good. There's much work to do." As the ship accelerated away from Earth, I watched my planet shrink in the viewport. Somewhere down there, fake humans were still operating, still learning, still preparing to replace real people. But now, they were being hunted instead of hunting. And I was part of the team that would find them. The fake cop who'd pulled me over 3 nights in a row had made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated human stubbornness. When something's wrong, we don't just accept it, we investigate, we ask questions, we refuse to be quiet. That's what makes us human. And that's exactly what's going to save us. The ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying me toward my new life as an alien police officer. Strange how things work out sometimes.